Now you may think that taking the CelTA course as a native English speaking teacher is easier, but in fact there's quite a few things that native English speaking teachers actually find more difficult than the non-native speakers. And I'm going to talk to you about them in this video so you can avoid those mistakes as a native speaker, or if you're a non-native speaker and you're preparing to take the CelTA, you can actually smile and enjoy and realize that you do have some advantages that you might not have thought of otherwise. Remember, if you get some value from this video, give us a like and a subscribe so it helps the video to reach more people and help them along their CelTA journeys and becoming English language teachers. And before we get into it, if you're new here, I'm Steve from CeltaHelper.com, so remember to check out the site after this video, and let's get started. Now, native English speakers, even teachers, are actually prone to quite a few grammar errors, and I'm going to explain a couple here that you can avoid if you're a native speaker. And as I've said, if you're non-native, just sit back and enjoy. Remember, you'll already know these, but these things are pretty much everywhere in English that is spoken around the world by native speakers, and many have no idea. But you're going to want to avoid these on your CelTA course because your tutors will pounce on them. So the first one is the use of less and confusing it. Now you might have heard native speakers using this wrongly a lot, and if you're a native speaker you might not even realize. But if you're saying things like there are less people here today than yesterday, then you're getting a bit confused. You might even say there's less people here today than yesterday, and actually this is where the confusion starts, because people is an irregular plural noun, and then people think when they're using it that it's used in the same way as a singular noun, and it's also then coupled with words like less to make it in their minds work grammatically. So you start to get this unraveling confusion, and really we need to be saying fewer people, because it is still a countable noun, it's still a plural, it just hasn't got the S. There are fewer people here today than there were yesterday, and that keeps it simple. So we need to be saying there are fewer people here today than yesterday, and therefore we have this clear distinction in our mind. But I would say more than that, just make sure that you know the difference between less and fewer and when you're using them, because those are two of the most common things that get confused by native speakers, and it's something I see all the time. My wife had a letter from the doctor the other day in the post, and it even had this error in the typing. Not anything that a native speaker would even notice, but it's still a grammatical error, so we've got to be aware of that. The second most common one is the use of its, and this is actually where you're confusing the determiner with the subject plus verb. So its, just that, no apostrophes, no spaces, nothing. That is your determiner. Yeah, everything has its place. Now you know what I mean by saying that, but a lot of people would write it, they get confused. Maybe they put an apostrophe s in there, which is it is, which is obviously not right, or they put an apostrophe at the end to denote the possessive element, which again is not right. It doesn't need it because it's an irregular. So it feels strange to people, especially native speakers, but it is right, just its, and you can check it in the dictionary if you're not sure. But don't get it confused with the others, and get it right on your CelTA, because I can guarantee you that if you're even a little confused at the moment, you're going to be a lot more confused when you're teaching it to other people and start second guessing yourself and really start to worry that you can't even speak English as well as you thought. So check it out if you're not sure. You might also at this point be seeing me looking a bit confused, because I'm not a huge grammarian, and I'm even second guessing myself now, even after years of doing this. So remember that it doesn't always get that much easier with time. Anyway, on to the next point. Now the next one is actually didn't used to. Now this construction can really confuse because the way we say it. Yeah, if we talk about used to for a past habit, used plus to. But when we get into the negative form, didn't used to, we actually drop off the D from used, okay, because it's behind didn't, yeah, your auxiliary verb. And the way that is, then that means you need your infinitive, and use is the infinitive. Because we think of this construction as this two-word pair all the time, it's really hard to separate that, because used to is the idea of the habit, but actually in the negative form we drop off that D. It's a really small one, but you don't want to be caught teaching students that incorrectly. So again, be sure to check that out. Have a look at the grammar rules for it. And probably a good book for that, I think, is the Swan, Teaching English Grammar. That's a really good one. Not just for that point, I should add. I'm not saying it's got an explanation on that point, but it's really good, clear one for grammar. And check out the links below if you want to see more on that. And the next one, hopefully this isn't you, but confusing there, and there. And that in which case is actually your adverb or pronoun in the first instance, then your subject plus verb, or your determiner stroke possessive pronoun. Yet another of these possessive pronouns. Now this one's really just a spelling point, yep, just to know the difference. There is, they as in they are, and their books, possessive pronoun is the last one. So just have that clear. Again, it's spelling. If you're on the spot, if someone asks you, you shouldn't get that wrong, but it's something that I know, like my generation in this country, in the UK, that kind of grammar, a lot of them didn't pick it up at school. Don't ask me how, but it wasn't taught that strongly. I think I got it more from my parents being sticklers than from school. But either way, just make sure you've got that right and you don't make that mistake and write it incorrectly on the whiteboard in your CELTA teaching practice sessions. And the next one is another pesky possessive pronoun or determiner versus a subject and verb combo. And that is your versus your. Now, I'm saying them differently to try and help distinguish, but obviously not everyone says them differently and is not really that clear anyway. But let's say your as your possessive pronoun, so your book, your watch, etc., versus you are in the contracted form, shortened with that apostrophe. So you're watching this video right now on your smartphone as distinction. Shouldn't be getting these wrong if you're doing the CELTA, but if you are and you're struggling, make sure you go and have a look online. Just type in, let's say, your versus your into Google, and you've got lots of nice grammar blogs that will help you to sort that out. I don't think you need to look in a grammar book because they're not going to have these common errors, but a blog or a website will be just fine for that. Now, if you enjoyed that video, remember to give us a like and a subscribe so you can get more content like this, and I will see you in another video, and hope you're having fun and stay safe. See you soon. Bye.